Samm Marshall shares uplifting stories and conversations with people making Johannesburg and the world a better place.
Yep, we do that. We share the spotlight on people, institutions and organizations that's making South Africa much better and raising the gees, of course. Now, today we're spotlighting voices that are making a difference in culture, creativity and community. We celebrate the power of storytelling with a very special guest. His name is Dyondzo Kwinika, who has just been announced as the inaugural winner of the DALRO Can Themba Merit Award for short story writing. His piece is Mr. Duiker Sang the Blues. It's not only earned him this prestigious recognition, but is also featured in the anthology of When Water Wants To. That's published by the Wits University Press. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
No, I'm great. Morning, Sam, and morning to the listeners at home.
What does it feel like? Okay, talk to me about this journey. What does it feel like to win the inaugural DALRO Can Themba Merit Award? And maybe also, as you explain what that feels like, tell us a little bit about this award and this event.
Yeah, so just being the winner of the DALRO Can Themba Merit Award, it's an honor and a privilege. It's such a humbling experience, to have my short story and the other short stories in the anthology being mentioned with the legacy of Can Themba.
Yes, wrote the suit.
Yeah, whose work I encountered in early high school, whereby we did his short story, The Duiker Train, and that's where really the voice of Can Themba came to me. And when I saw the opportunity that DALRO and the other partners that are involved were really giving new emerging voices an opportunity to really follow suit and line of Can Themba's legacy, I thought it was a great opportunity for me. And yeah, I think that's where it really began, wanting my name to be mentioned with the likes of Can Themba.
Well, now your name is obviously etched in history.
Yeah.
And it must be a full circle moment when you read a piece of work and now you have won an award related to that. But tell me about your history of writing, though, because I don't wanna detract from this achievement.
Yeah.
But you look very young, and so what is your history been with storytelling and writing and the ability to tell the story in such a way that resonates with people? Because a group of your peers recognize this to be excellent storytelling.
Yeah. So just on being young, when we got the news that we were shortlisted for the top 10 and we were hosting sort of workshops with the relevant stakeholders, they thought I was 8 years old. So they were like, when they saw me, they were like, we're expecting an old man, really.
Yeah.
But I think it my love for short story really began with my grandfather.
Yeah.
Who each and every evening he would come back from work with a stack of newspapers, and it was my mother's responsibility to sort of answer the questions that I would have from the pictures. I wanted to really understand, why is this person, for example, getting arrested? Why is this person sad? Why is this person happy? So I think that is where really my love for short stories began, wanting to understand the pictures that I was seeing. And I think that's where it began. So I began taking it seriously in grade 11 in 2015. I think that was when I first really wrote a full body of work. Then I took it into 2016, 17. Then there were breaks between there, going to varsity and just studying. But I think I came back to writing last year, whereby I began reading more bodies of work. For example, the works of Casey Lodeka, whose surname is also part of the title of the short story, and I think that is when I began finding my voice, to say, okay, who is Dyondzo Kwinika within the literary space of South Africa? What is the originality or the new element that I would like to bring into my short story? And
what was your answer?
Yeah, and
what answer did you find? What originality would you like to bring? Or are you still on that journey of finding that answer?
Yeah, I'm still searching. I think I call the journey the finding. So it's just me, excavating many different ways of writing. So I'm still on the journey of finding, and Mr. Duiker, I think it's part of the potential or of the realization of some of the things in those findings.
Yeah. Mr. Duiker Sang the Blues. It deals with silence, grief, identity. What inspired you to write that particular piece? What was the message that you wanted to convey?
Yeah, so when I saw that they were looking for African voices, South African literary voices, I went back to 2020, where I lost a friend and I couldn't attend his burial due to COVID restrictions and university work. So I felt like there was a part of me that was still grieving him. And in light of me coming up with this short story, I really wanted to express that story in terms of parenthood and in terms of dreams, because the story is set in Daggafontein, which is an informal settlement, and you have the characters there. So the character as a father who is trying to really understand the journey of how did everything that unfolds in the story unfolded, and just to an extent to take accountability and to acknowledge that really sometimes when you try to protect someone, so in a way there's a potential that you might even harm them without noticing. So it was just a way of writing a deeply meditative piece, but also to open vulnerability and the courage to heal. So I think all those elements, when they came together, that's when I had the main character.
Maybe that's a perfect segue to tell us a little bit about, don't give away too much, but tell us a little bit about the story of Mr. Duiker Sang the Blues.
Yeah,
what is it about?
Yeah, it's about a father who's on the journey to welcome the remains of his son who had gone to Switzerland to sort of be medically assisted to death. So it's about all those moments that lead to the final realization that it has happened, and trying to understand the roles that many characters in the stories have played.
But the story also highlights different perspectives, right?
Yeah.
In South Africa, it's kind of this play between queer identity and masculinity, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about that, about how important it was to bring these different perspectives into the space.
Yeah. It was just to not in a way romanticize, as we often see in the works, and the queer identity really came as an order to Simon Colley. When I began reading more about the decolonization of knowledge, I came across his work and his role as a black queer man during apartheid, So it was just in a way of paying tribute to him and the courageous queer people who come from backgrounds really that one of the characters comes from.
So I don't know if this must be amazing news. Beyond the award, your story will be adapted for stage and showcased internationally, right? I mean, has that kind of hit home yet, or is that like something that you go, wow?
I think what I told my mom and my partner post receiving the award was that I will need. It is a day that I'll never forget in my life, and it's like I'm still in the dream.
You're still processing
I'm still processing the dream. But
I mean, it's not often that someone's kind of first work ends up on stage too.
Yeah, and to think about it, that there were more than 300 entries. It's really such an encouraging moment for me to keep going, but also it's like, wow. Really, it really gives me that positive affirmation that I really have something to offer. I have a voice that needs to be heard.
I don't know if because often when people write, they write for the art of writing. They don't necessarily write when they're writing novels and books and stuff like that. But when it gets turned into a film or a movie, it's kind of the byproduct of, or into a stage play, it's kind of the byproduct of another person seeing the vision that this could be adapted very well on stage. What does that mean for you as a writer? Was that even a consideration that your work could end up on stage or could end up as a live adaptation, whether it's TV or film? And if that is the case now, does that somewhere in your mind go, maybe it's not a bad idea that at some point I could potentially even write for stage or write for film or write for TV?
Yeah, and I think...
Has that dawned on you yet?
Yo, And I think that's where really Neil Coppen, who's the editor, really came through, because after we initially made our submissions, we attended the workshops, and we had various edit sessions. And I think one of the most important thing that he was highlighting, it was that when you write for example, an adaptation of the short story into a stage play, it should subtly hint the actions of characters, because when I write, I'm more of like in the psychological aspect of the characters and the mind, so there's little that is happening on what the characters do and think. And just thinking about it, I think over the past few days I've kind of learned that really stage really asks different questions from the short story, and it is one of the questions that I'm thinking or meditating on at the moment is, how does grief land in a room full of strangers, and what does the communal performance of Mr. Duiker Sang the Blues ask of us? And I think really with the help of the Market Theatre Foundation, those are some of the questions that we are really going to
that opening night when you're
answer.
sitting there and hopefully your mom and your parents will be there, and it's your work is on stage. I mean, I cannot begin to imagine what it will feel like for you. But I want to say congratulations.
Thank you so
absolutely
much.
Amazing. I also read that the Center for Creative Arts is going to support your journey, and what they've done is they're going to include your participation. They are sending you to international festivals as well. This is ridiculous, man.
In Norway, the Bergen Literary Festival. So and it's such an exciting feeling that my first trip abroad, it will be based on the work that I do, and something that I'm really passionate about. So it's one of the things that I'm looking forward to, and the time of the writer as well. Next year March. So having being on the spectator side of things, and now to be at the forefront, it's really
story.
Such a
And it's great to have conversations with people like you and Amanda. I think it's we were literally just talking about kind of following your dream, and kind of jumping head first and being brave. And by your bravery, you've now unlocked this entire world for yourself. And to think that a piece that you wrote is now going to be adapted for stage. But at the same time, you're also going to be traveling internationally as a young writer. Okay. It's too early to ask this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I'm that guy.
Shoot.
The pressure now, right? So this, look, for all, yes, there's still a lot of legs to this. There's still a lot you have to do. But the point of being a writer is that you write, that you have to write. Are you writing now? Have you started working on something else? Are you working on another short story? Are you going longer format? Where's your headspace? Or are you just taking a moment to enjoy this and then get back to the typewriter, as they would say?
I don't think like the bug that really bit me has stopped exploring other themes, and of course the main focus now is gonna lean more towards working with Greg Honman from the Market Theatre Foundation to kind of see how can we turn this body of work into a stage play that's gonna leave a legacy and forge a new way in which we view literary work beyond the pages. So the work hasn't stopped. The focus now it's leaning more towards turning this body into stage play, and of course sourcing out the experience and making most of the opportunity. But on the other side of things, I'm exploring other themes. I'm also reading other people's work. I'm also leaning more towards stage plays, and to try and be in the space. Sometimes I think that's what I really love about writing. Even when I wrote Mr. Duiker Sang the Blues, I wanted to be in the space. I'd go to, we have an informal settlement in my township. I'd go there, try to absorb the feeling, the air,
sounds,
the sounds, those,
the way how people walk,
to just pick up those little things.
What a door sounds like when it closes on the shack. It's a little bit different to it.
The noise, the sound, the goats that are there, the pigs, just to make sure that I bring a lived experience to the reader, other than sort of just dumping a body of work, and so it was. So that's the feeling now, is to really to lean more and to make the most of this opportunity. Who knows? There might be more stage plays, there might be more short stories that follow from this.
That is absolutely amazing, man. That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay. Dyondzo, where can people follow your work? I mean, it's the start.
Yeah.
I the thing for me is always, I'm so fortunate that I get to meet like people sometimes at the beginning of their journey.
Wow. Yeah.
And then years later, you see them turn into successes, and you go, wow, And like some comedians, I was there when they did their first show. And years later, they are like these successes. I interviewed them. In some instances, I was the first person to ever interview them.
Just as you are.
And then years later, you get to meet them again, and they'll even remind you sometimes, hey, that time you interviewed me 15 years ago? That was the first time I was ever interviewed.
Yeah.
So where can people follow your journey?
Yeah, they can follow me on my social media handles. At Dyondzo Kwinika, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on TikTok. I am there. They can also additionally follow the Wits University Press. They can follow the DALRO. They can follow the University of KwaZulu-Natal Center for Creative Arts, because I'm looking at this as a way of also empowering others. If this installment had 300 authors from all over the country, I hope that the next one will have 600, so that we can really grow this and foster the culture of literature and literacy and its power to really change lives.
And I think the ability to also tell stories that look and sound and feel like us, right? Because I think that's important. We need to tell the kind of stories that resonate in the very communities, and that's why I love this idea of you saying that I spent time in a township, in a rural township, and I went through an informal settlement, and I got to experience that. Because I think what you then also do is you are, for those people that will never walk through an informal settlement, believe it or not, there was somebody who will never experience that you can humanize those people and humanize the experiences that these people go through. But anyway, so congratulations to you.
Thank
and
you so much.
I feel the need to spell this, because I don't know what some of our listeners heard, but it's DYONDZO. DYONDZO. That's Dyondzo, and the surname is Kwinika. It's KWINIKA. Right? So as simple as that. You can follow him across the platforms. And let's watch the journey of this young award-winning author who's already won an award. He's planning to fly the flag incredibly high for South Africa. He's off to a couple of international festivals, and his work is now being adapted for stage. Can you believe it? So that's Dyondzo Kwinika, who's just been announced as the inaugural winner. So he's even the first winner of the DALRO Can Themba Merit Award for short story writing. His piece, Mr. Duiker Sang the Blues, not only earned him the prestigious recognition, but is also being featured in the anthology called When Water Wants to and it's being published, or it is published, by the Wits University Press.